Big good evening and welcome to Scott Valley Hairdressing. Being a hairdresser is really, really special. I always think of it as being like any artist, a plasterer, a painter, anything that is really special. I always think hairdressers are really special, what they do. I salute any hairdresser in the world that does this job. Also, it's like doing art. Hair is like art, and creating that special magic look is what I always think of it as, and that's what these nights are always dedicated to, that. So big good evening to everybody that's international tonight, everybody in Muck, Australia, Mark, Clive, Leah, Brad, Vincent, I know you like that. Woo! Also, everybody in the artistic team, hopefully one day I'll be over there soon to see you. Everybody in the UK Muck artistic team, and also everybody at Muck Central, BA, Justina, everybody that's there. Also, a big good evening to everybody that's international tonight, our friends, hello. Everybody that's also national tonight, hello also. Our big friends at Scott Valley Hairdressing that are clients, and also non-clients, and also hairdressers, because of course this was originally designed as a DVD style show presentation, which we then we're going to also show and share tricks and tips that we do with hair. Now the beautiful thing about this is it's in a live situation. You can see it's actually in the salon, and we're also using Muck products tonight, which of course I'm very proud to be their UK artistic director, which means of course we get to share how it works tonight, the stand-in, how the cutting works, because again that's really important. You have to think about and how the products work in harmony with the haircut. Also, big good evening as well tonight to Big Mate, Lynn-Marie Atkinson, Grace, and of course Cara, if you're watching. I'm looking forward to hearing your guitar lessons. And also Saxon tonight, also Donna Beer, nice big good evening. Also Andrew Beer, Corin, because I know you've been in today, and Alex, and also not forgetting of course my special friend, my physiotherapist Sarah Scott, and also Ben. Nice to see you. I'll see you again at the weekend. So it'll be really cool to see you. So of course, everybody that I've not mentioned tonight, if I did mean to mention you, good evening, Miss Marple, I know, Lynn Hobbs, everybody that will be watching, from Dan Metcalf, Nick McCaffrey, of course, Sharon McCaffrey, because let's not forget, of course, you were my friend before Nick, which is most important, of course. So tonight, what's it all about? In a moment, you'll meet model number 40. As we originally started this programme, it was originally going to be 3 models. I'm now proud to say, a year and a half later, we're now at the point where there's enough interest and a lot of people that really do like to watch this. So thank you so much for making it what it is, very special. In a moment you'll get to meet our special model tonight for model number 40. And then of course you get to see how it all works. If you are having your dinner tonight, if you're watching EastEnders, hopefully with a bit of luck there'll be a situation where you'll be able to dib and dab and watch a little bit of EastEnders and watch a little bit of what we're up to. But also big thanks to my dad, because of course he does the filming. Here he is, look, you can see him on there working tonight. It's always cool. Ugh. But again, I always think of it as it's very, very special. So let's all meet the model and see what tonight's all about. So welcome back. So let's meet the model tonight, very special person. Obviously we've had a lot of special models, as I always say. Every person that's been here and sat and had their hair done, it's a big thing to sit and have their hair done in the salon, and also do it live to Facebook Live. But without further ado, introduce tonight to beautiful model tonight, special person who's going to put through this tonight. Give it up for Joanne Stewart. Woo!
Hi!
Say hello. Say hello. Hello.
Hello.
So, some of you will recognise Joanne, no doubt, from around the Burbage area. Some of you will recognise her from, no doubt, teaching or around the area. But again, it gives me great pleasure to be able to do Joanne's hair this evening. So let's just have a quick walk through what we're doing. Obviously, we've got a lot of curly hair we're going to work with tonight. You can see what we're going to be doing is working with taking the ends off. Again, we don't want to go too short, because with curly hair it tends to shoot up a lot. As you've seen in previous haircuts we've done with curly hair, it's been not as quite as curly as what we've got here to work tonight with Joanne's hair. We're then going to be going for C-shaped curvature on the sides, which basically, when I say C-shape, it will be cut in the shape of a C. We'll be using a razor blade to create that effect. Then the important part is the layer. We'll be taking a layer out of this, which again, not taking too much out, but a travelling guide, which then will allow us to be able to move around and then go through to a longer layer on the top, which will be square, through to rounded, which will give us a really nice heart shape on the sides. But most importantly, then we'll bring the razor blade back in for the mid panel through here to remove the bulk, the weight, which will then make it more leaner and give the shape a more stronger appeal. So then, whether it's blow dried straight or curly, you'll get height on the top, the shape will be more leaner, and then we'll keep the length, and all of a sudden it will look as if it's twice as long. So it's a really nice, neat trick to work with. In terms of what we're working with tonight, because I always think of excellent. I always think of a high wave of the hair, because we have to think about a mapping system, how we're cutting the hair. So obviously when I'm going to cut Giant's hair tonight, the important thing is thinking about how we're working from section to section, how we're standing. These are all the disciplines that we have to think of, because again, if we tend to bend our backs, bend our hands, we have to think about how the future will be for us. So let's just go through that high wave of the hair that we're using tonight. We'll be using the recession bone. We'll then be going through for the parietal ridge, which is where the top part of the skull goes with the bottom part of the skull, and that is the dividing point of a uniform layer to a rounded layer. Then we're going to the apex on the top, which is generally the high point of the hair. We then go to the upper occipital bone. We then go to the occipital bone, which is the protruding bone in the skull, which is where you go shortest point if you were doing a geometrical graduated bob. We then go to a starting point of a haircut, which will be tonight, which is the lower occipital bone, and then we go through to the mastoid process, which is the bone behind the ear, which also denotes the corner of the chair, which is in the main discipline when you're looking at everything when you're going through. And then we'll be working with the nape of the neck, which of course the nape is generally when you go to a shorter point if you're doing a gent scissor over comb, or if you're going for a short bob, which of course we're doing neither tonight, which you'll be pleased to know just there. So again, I always think of it as every haircut as a journey. It's really important we think about tonight's products, what we're using, and what products we'll be using. Gold teeth. That's it. So we'll be thinking of how we're going to be working with the products tonight. So we'll be using Fat Muck Blowout Mousse, which will enable us to cut the hair and give us a natural shape. We'll also be looking at using Fat Muck Volumizing Spray, which again will work in harmony with what we're doing here. We're then going to use 20-in-1 Miracle Treatment, which again will contain conditioner, it will contain volume, everything we need to go into Giant's hair to give us a nice look. We'll then blow dry the hair and then be coming back with argan oil later. So we're going to keep it quite simple so the wardrobe moves around and the hair's quite loose. We'll then be using the style stick, which we'll be using tonight. We're going to go in there and do slightly larger sort of rolls into the hair, which again, great way to use electrical because we can showcase how that works in harmony with the products that we've got on the hair. So that pretty much is what we're going to be doing tonight, and then as soon as we've finished, we'll then do the photographs, which at a later date you as the audience will be able to see the before and after, because we've actually photographed Giant's hair as we did do earlier. Obviously laughing now, thinking you can't wait to see the pictures of how her hair looked before. But the main thing is you'll see a difference tonight. As I say, every journey begins with the start of a journey. So let's start with a product tonight. So our first product we're going to be working with tonight is Fat Muck Blowout Mousse, which again, Nick McCaffrey will be watching this tonight. It's a golf ball size that we're cutting with. I imagine Dan Metcalf is also thinking the same. And then if you put this product into a glass, it will disperse I should say, and go into conditioner. So when we're starting the haircut, this basically is going to give us one of two things. Number one, it's working on the canvas, which is starting to make the hair soft and supple so we can work with it. Number two, we're working with a product that allows us to see the natural fall of the hair. So as I'm cutting the hair, I can actually see how it's naturally falling and give us that look. You're thinking, don't you ever shut up. But of course, so of course, you just have a little sip of water. So of course, the nice thing is the product works in harmony with the hair. And then again, when I bring in the second part of the wardrobe, you'll see the volumizing spray. That will thicken the hair up a little bit, not it needs thickening up anymore, but it will just work in harmony with the product. So, looking at the beginning of the hair, we're now going to go into the parting. Perfect. So you get a nice clean parting in to begin with. I knew there's something I didn't do, but not to worry. Be alive. That's what it's all about. So partings are really important, because again, it's always about the cleanliness of everything. Again, the product works really clean with the hair, which is what it's all about. Okay, is that in the right place there?
Yeah,
excellent.
Good.
So again, when I'm working with the product, I always like to keep everything nice and clean. Now we're going to be working from, we're going to be working from the, here we go, I'm going to go on this side. Stage left, stage left. I'm going to go this side. Oh, you want to show the parting? Okay. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, you want to show the parting. So you can see the parting looks nice and clean with the section. So Dad wanted to come around and show you. I spent 3 months learning partings to the point I was fed up with them at Taining Guard, but the result is you get a nice clean line. So now, using the corner of the comb, a lot of people tend to just draw it down, but if you hold it like a knife, like you're going to stick it in somebody, you might want to do that to me later. But the idea is you can actually sort of draw the shape. So I put my thumb in, we're going apex down to mastoid process, and that just keeps everything really clean. Immediately comb it out the way, because if you do that, you can get the line really clean, and that's what we need. So we now just grab the hair on the front, immediately dissect it and get it away from what you're doing, because then again, clean sections, clean haircut. So I'll just put that in there for a second. Repeat the process on this side. Sounds like a cookery programme. Stick it into gas mark 6 and you'll be alright. Allowed to simmer. So we're nice and clean there. Now going down the back. You've done this before, I can tell, because you move your head. It's good. So again, keeping the sections nice and clean. Anybody come on yet, Dad, that we need to say hello to?
Nick McCaffrey, Sean McCaffrey.
Nick McCaffrey.
Limerick Atkinson.
Limerick Atkinson. All the people I said hello to.
Andy
Hardy, big mate. All on there. That's good. You can see we've got a nice challenge tonight. Sharon, nice to see you on there. Shaz, good to see you at the weekend. So about mine and Nick's conversation. Apologise about that, obviously. Bit of man talk there. Nick, good to see you. Even though, of course, I was Sharon's friend before yours. Sorry, I do apologise. And then, of course, good to see Andy on there tonight. Big mate. Limerick Atkinson as well. Big supporters right from day one. They've also been models as well. So it's nice to see on there. You can see now I'm keeping this nice and clean as I'm taking these sections. Of course, Big Mate did a bit of filming as well. He's been like a real sort of multitasker. I'll be having his sound tonight on the Samsung and then the pictures on the iPhone. So yeah, it's all very, very important. You've got to make sure you get it right. But isn't that interesting how one works with the other? Okay, so now I'm going to go through the back first. Please, may I? Thank you very much. So, break it down into 3 sections. Now, you could actually cut this through the comb. It's quite strong hair. So, when I say strong, it's got a very strong kink in it. So, you've got a wide part of the comb, thin part of the comb. You need to grip the hair quite tight. So, as you can see, I could cut it through the comb, that's fine. But tonight, we're actually going to do something totally different to what we've not done on this before, and that's cut through the fingers. So, we need to be looking at the elbow. It's really important because the elbow is an important part of this. If you move your elbow, you can then adjust. If you can see the hair moving, that then controls what's going on. So people want to say to me, I've got a weaker side, I've got a stronger side. That's because you are not holding the hair correctly when you do it. So when I say that, it could be going up, it could be going down. So really you need to think about as you're standing there with that. So second knuckle, which is where we were to there, which is really important. Now bringing the rest of it in, keeping the tension really, really tight, looking for the previous guide, and then just taking it off. You can see I'm using a large pair of scissors. These are in fact a size 8-inch blade, which most people think to themselves they are big scissors. They are big scissors. But again, it's really important. You see how much that springs up just from pulling it really tight. So, you know, there's no right way or wrong way. I do like cutting through a comb, but tonight we've got to do this through the fingers just to make sure we keep it tight. It's really important, so the tension needs to be there. You see now as I pull that down, everything's nice and clean and nice and level, and you can see that's perfect. See immediately, just by taking the ends off, instantly it rejuvenates the look. Sarah Scott, hello friend, nice to see you, I hope you're okay. Looking forward to see you on Saturday. Please don't tell me off for running, because I am thinking, oh no. Claire Hill from Burbage, good to see Mrs Hill. Hopefully the champ's okay as well. I'm guessing champ / main man's on there. Richard as well, big good evening if you're on there with us tonight. Good to see you with us. Thanks Dad for calling everybody out, that's really cool. Again, I like to showcase something that's different. Plays with the model as well. They're all on tonight. The previous models, it's good. Right, so again, you can see how tight this is in terms of curl. So we're going to run this all the way through tonight, so you're actually going to see us do the actual finish as well using the straighteners. Now, got to make sure you comb it right. We're using the tighter part of the comb. Everything you can see is dead straight and really tight as I'm doing it. All the way through to the second knuckle. Of course, Nick McCaffrey will know that only too well by the amount of times I say the second knuckle. I'm looking forward to you. In fact, I should get you, Nick, to make a video. I think you'd be quite good at this. You do hotel videos. I think you'd be pretty cool at doing a hairdressing video now. You know what you're doing. Maybe you should get Sharon as the model, and you can act out the hairdressing, which will be something different. We'll get Dan in on it as well. So, coming through now to the side, keeping it nice and tight on the section. As you can see that second knuckle always, because if you go past your second knuckle, what will happen, Joanne, if you go past your second knuckle? You'll cut yourself. Correct. So you will. So a lot of hairdressers still do that. They still cut the knuckles and wonder why. There's, you know.
Samantha Marlowe.
Ah, Samantha Marlowe. Nice to see you with us tonight, Samantha Marlowe. I hope you're okay. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we're still here. It is live from the salon. If you drive past tonight, you will see us working, which is good. Good to see you with us on there. So again, keeping the tension really, really tight. It just keeps everything in harmony with what you're doing. So again, it's just good to showcase everything on here with, you know, in terms of different styles. The next model we've got lined up is a man. So we're going to be going back to classic scissor over combing, something a little bit different. That'll be in 2 weeks' time. So you'll be right, big mate. You can listen to Coral's guitar lessons next week, or watching EastEnders, or whatever you're watching. So you can all have a break, and then we'll be back the week after. Okay, so nice and tight again on this. Just keep it really, really clean. Again, just got to be really positive on everything, because again, positive thoughts with a positive haircut is what it's all about, because you've got to be in control. As with anything, just make sure you stay on it. As a good friend said to me once, stay on the numbers. Okay, so you can see everything's level. Right, we now come through to this side. So my friend, I just cut across you there. So we now go to the apex, cutting across the parietal ridge and coming into the recession. So we're now just going curving round, just to keep everything nice and clean. Again, remember what I said to you, it's all clean sections. It's all about clean sections, it's all there. You'll be saying this in your sleep tonight, you know, you'll be going, clean sections, it is, it's really important. A lot of hairdressers forget that. Right, so now turn the guest slightly, because again, it's really important. You know, we're at Scott Belly Hairdressing, we have to think about the approach we do to clients, it's really important. So again, now we're coming round, we're taking the corners off. If you were to keep this level, as in all one length, you just pull everything back and it'd be one level, but because we're going slightly shorter in the side, only slightly shorter, we're actually turning slightly and going with the fingers. Yeah, so 3 things really you're looking at is world-class customer service is one thing you're looking for, as close as you can get to it. Second one is consistency. So obviously this haircut, we've got to go with consistency all the way through it. And number 3 is added value. So the added value on here will be many different looks. Jeff, good to see you with us tonight. You're okay? I'm sorry I didn't see you in Portugal racing, but you looked as if you were really on it, to say the least. Hope you have a good time, my friend, and we'll catch up soon when you come in. So you can see the shape now all the way through. So now I'll just bring all the rest of this down. Just keep it all nice and clean. Again, you've got to keep this really tight on the comb, so we're using the thinner part of the comb, which again is really important. Because of course, for those of you that watched the video on Saturday, you'll see that I've cut Rebecca Evans' hair off on the Brave to Shave. Very, very brave lady, having her hair taken off for a friend. You know, I really admire anybody that can do that, as I admire Joanne Stewart, my model tonight, that's sitting there having her hair cut. Obviously you're not having it shaved off tonight, but actually sitting there and letting me cut your hair live is great, as with all the models. So yes, nothing like a bit of variety, to say the least. You get that on this page, and it is all cool because it's live. If Paul Lucky Hunt comes on as well, I know he'll probably show up at some point. So you can now see the first side. Right, let's just spin you around this way. Hi. Nice to see you here. So now we're just going to go through from the apex through to the recession, which again is really important. Keep everything nice and clean as you're doing it. So again, it's really important. I'm guessing Thomas Glock will be watching also at some point. My last client tonight, so they'll tune in. So if you're watching, Thomas, good to see you. Hope your tomato soup was nice. Okay, so now we're just going to come through here. Again, coming through, watching the arm angle, which we're going through because we've got to take the tiniest amount off. Just keeps everything nice and tidy. And again, it's just really about tension, just keeping it nice and clean, nice and steady. I always say it's really, really important when you're cutting hair, you just got to stay nice and steady. A bit like Dad with that camera, you've got to stay really nice and steady. Big mate told me that, he said, I don't know how your dad does it, holding that tripod. So he'll be laughing to himself now. But you know, that's it. It's all being steady, everything. Okay, last piece. Just make sure everything's all nicely saturated with hair. So it's all good. Bit easier, Dad, for you than the video camera that you had in 1979, isn't it?
Yeah.
That big thing with the trigger.
Oh, tell you what, you put on my shoulder.
Yeah, when I came back from school one day and I could see myself on television. It's when I got no teeth, practically, and I could see myself on the TV. I went, hey, what's this? I was only about 7, but our cameras have moved forward. It's incredible technology. I mean, we're filming tonight in HD, so you can actually see, you know, the actual definition of the cut. You can see everything. You'll see the colour in the hair when it's blow dried. You know, you'll see everything, all the sections. It just looks really clean cut, which is nice. We're doing a live presentation in a few weeks' time. We'll be at the Green Towers, working with one of my clients called Liz. We're going to be working with her. We're going to raise money for disabled children who ride horses. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in about a week's time. So the team will be going out doing a live broadcast off that as well. So again, at first, we've never broadcast a live show, so it should be very, very good. I like giving back to charities, most of you know that. So you'll see now you've got the one length all the way around. We're now going to move on to the sides. So again, keep the sections nice and clean. In fact, we'll bring in the second part of our wardrobe this evening. We're going to use Fat Muck Volumizing Spray. It contains panthenol. Again, you see, it's got a little trigger on the top, which is quite nice, that is. So just allows you to aim what you're sort of aiming at as you're doing it. A bit like the sea salt spray. It's got the same sort of trigger on it, so you can just keep it moving, keep everything nice and damp down. Not sort of using, how cool is that? It's all about discipline. Right, so now from the apex down to the master process. Again, keeping everything clean. So we now just put everything behind. Here it is. Everything behind, so then we won't cut anything. Because again, the important part is on this. If you cut anything behind the ear, it will start going into a V in the back. And of course, we don't really want that look. So it's best just to be disciplined for the amount of time it takes. Always put your clips together, overlap them, and it just keeps it locked nice and tight. So razor blade at this point. Just turn it this way, thanks. Okay, keep the head up, and what we're going to be doing is now we're looking for zero elevation. Of course, elevation, zero elevation. What we're looking for is a C-shaped curvature that's coming through the hair as we cut it. So the idea of it is we go short to long. Now, because Joanne's hair shrinks a lot, we need to be taking the tiniest amount off so she can still tie it back. So nice and tight on the tension. Thinking about where you're standing, angling the finger, and then just really just cutting towards your finger as you're doing it. If you go straight in at it, you'll tear the hair. So you just want to be going literally. So it's just, that's the noise it makes, funny enough. There you go. All of a sudden it starts to shape. Hopefully that shouldn't pull either. Nice fresh blade makes a big difference. And then you can just start to see the shape appear. You can glide it through, or you can sort of slice it through. I tend to slice it through when you're doing this because it gives it a little bit more texture. Texture is what we're after on the curly hair, so again it just finishes it off. What you'll get when you get to this bottom part is really a slight disconnection between the back and the side. So at this point now you just pull that tiny piece down, which is about in line with the ear, and you just see the tiniest amount there, and that just takes that out, which now gives us a presto. There's a nice C shape just coming through the back, sorry, front to the back. That's it. Okay, zip part magic, we're on the other side. Hi. So make sure in the right position. Okay, lift your head up slightly. That's it. Perfect. I have to be able to reach you. It's got a good physio, you see. I can now bend. She's on watching. Sarah Scott. Right, so take your cleave from side one, just to make sure you've got your beginning part, angle, and then just cut towards literally the fingers. You can see how I angle my hand as I do it. So I'm literally sort of disciplining myself. There's another way you could do it. You could elevate it up high in the air and just curve it that way and cut. See how the wrist just moves? It's natural. I'm not actually forcing any pressure on myself whatsoever. Everything's just dead natural and fluid. And that's the really important way of cutting hair, because again, by doing that, it just creates a more natural shape. Again, just coming through, you're keeping the length on the end to preserve it. So you don't want to go too short. And then all we do now is go through the side, just to make sure that disconnection's covered, because we don't really want to miss anything there. And that's that. So now the way you check it off is you just come from under the jawline, check that way, literally through there, in the midsection, and then come through onto the end just to make sure everything's level. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Now we'll go back round to the back again. Have a little drink of water.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. So now I'll introduce again even more of the Fat Volumizing spray, just to keep everything nicely damped down. It's really important. We're going to go through the back section now. Anybody else reappeared there, Dad? Who we got? Who do we need to say hello to? Anybody who's arrived on there?
Yeah, Scott.
Anybody arrived? No? Okay. Sure we'll have some international viewers at some point on there if they're not on already. So, we're going now the apex through to the mastoid process. And what we're going to do now is break the back off so we can then basically get a starting point. We'll be going from the occipital bone. This midsection. The reason I do all of this, want to do these sections, is just to keep everything nice and clean, because by doing this you can really sort of divide the hair. The way I work is very technical, if you've not worked that out already, just so that if you lose track of where you're going, you can backtrack and go straight into it, and then be able to immediately rectify a problem if there was one, which obviously tonight there will not be one. That's it. The only problem I've ever had when I've done one of these live feeds is I just literally cut my finger when I was doing one once, and I had to quickly abandon the video and then just pop a plaster on. But that's not bad really, we've done 40 of them, so that's not bad, is it? So again, nice clean sections. You can see right exactly on the occipital bone. Now what we're going to do is just make sure everything's all clipped out of the way. Select a pair of scissors we need, something quite small. I just tend to use a nice 7-inch pair for this. Right, so what we're going to do now is take the section. This is how it will go down. We'll literally lift it up. Everything's got to stay. It's the same height as the head. If you go lower, you'll create drag. If you go too high, you'll create too much tension through the top, which we don't want. We need everything level to where we're cutting. So as we work up here, it's got to be the same height as the head. As we then pull the hair back, we've got to then be dropping the first piece, which protects the length. If we go shorter than that, we'll lose the length. And then when we cut, we're using the tips of the scissors, and then we're literally just slicing into the hair as we do it. You've got to really imagine that we're cutting into the comb. Now, it's a travelling guide, so we need to think about the time as we're doing it. So we're going 6 to 9 o'clock. So that transmits from the back to the mastoid process, which is the corner of the chair, which is why I spoke about the corner of the chair earlier on, because that's my discipline to how far I'm going to go to. This side I'll go 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock to the corner of the chair. If we were to keep it all coming back, it'd be very heavy in the corners, and we want the shape in the corners so it's quite loose and interesting. Hopefully that explains that. Oh no, it's all interesting, hopefully, to those that want to watch. So, now we lift it back, which is what we said. Drop off the length and then literally start the slicing technique. And you can see I'm just chipping away at it very lightly. Now the result, as you can see, it starts to lift, but it's still long. David Beckworth, good to see you. Hope you're okay, big man on there. One of our other models. So I'm going to move you around because we're going out at 7 o'clock. And this is a versatile shape. You can actually use this on a man's hair, a lady's hair. It works on all. Okay, so drop that off just a little bit, keep the length preserved. And what this will do is, if anything, it will actually encourage the curl to come out. It's a beautiful way of cutting it. It's called the straight cut. It took me 6 months to perfect it, to get it to the standard of what I'm at now with it. And you can just literally just produce a really soft effect on it. And again, you can go over the top with it, sideways, it just produces a really nice look. But I do think It's beautiful, and you can see I only cut to the second knuckle when I do it. I'll do it again, I'll do it really slow. This is the last section now. For the first part of the baseline, you can see I'm now out at the corner of the chair, and now all I do is just literally go in. See there's a slice and slight down. Should actually have some slow-mo on this, because it'll be quite interesting if people watched it on slow-mo, and then just take it out. See, sometimes I put my finger on the scissor just to control it. So you're used to seeing straight lines on a cut, but this actually creates a very soft edge, like a tachograph in a truck, and that's really what you're after. We're all programmed as hairdressers to produce a straight line, but we're not really after that tonight. We're after a soft look, still level, but a soft look. Sorry, was that your hand? Apologise. Get us any closer.
Sadie Biddle.
Sadie Biddle. I like a G6. Hope you're okay there. So I'm just going to come back around the other side. That's it. Standing's really important. Bet you're watching with your boyfriend tonight, Sadie. I'm sure you're okay. She'll be texting me later with, "Hello Scott, are you alright?" Yeah, I'm good, don't worry. I'm safe. That's what it's all about. Okay, move again with the chair. So we're moving around to 7 o'clock. And again, just take your time. You can see how disciplined you've got to be with this when you're cutting. You've got to really be on it when you're doing it. You cannot lose concentration at any point. I couldn't really turn around to Joan and say, "Which bit am I cutting?" I don't know.
That bit.
Yeah, that's it. Which panel? So the idea is, with this you can actually not lose anywhere you're going. You can see now it's just falling in. It's all starting to go a bit leaner as well. So it's already starting, the shape is, it's giving it that look. Just keep your tension on tight, and then all you're doing then is just got to really keep the tension right to the last second. So this was really important. A lot of people tend to lose the tension towards the end, but again what that does is just, it doesn't work. So
Pat Booth.
Pat Booth, the lady from the QE2. Hello Pat, hope you're okay and your husband. Really great to see you. Thank you so much for your support. When you follow me on Facebook, it's always good to see you on there. Always great, thank you. I hope you're okay. You see, sunny Earl Shilton tonight, we are still here. And it is live, I say sunny Earl Shilton. This should be called Earl Shilton, the Sunshine State. Because it is, everything in Earl Shilton is happy. That's why I like it. It's really good. But then again, everybody's in their own enjoyable world. That's why I'm here, because I like it. It's great. The Sunshine State, Earl Shilton. That's it. It might be tomorrow. So you can now see how much I'm taking off, just trimming it lightly. Again, just moving around. We're not taking too much off, it's just really if anything, it's a light trim, but we're after the actual detail in the layer, which then gives us the shape. And of course, so it's long enough so we can still tie it back. Because of course, come tomorrow at work, we don't want Miss Joanne to be able to, better call you that than that, Miss Joanne. It's like a dancer. You know, obviously we don't want to be able to be in a position where you cannot tie it back, so it's really important. So you lay that discipline down straight away. And again, pivoting round now, coming back round is really important. The products work really well, they allow you to get the comb through there. We're going on to the top layers in a minute. So just come back this side, just take that out. I think with curly hair, I always remember when I was learning hairdressing at Remy's in Leicester. We were doing curly hair, and I remember thinking, I wonder how hard it is to cut curly hair. I actually think cutting curly hair is harder than cutting straight hair. A lot of people would probably disagree and say, oh, you know, you just don't need to put too much on it because it will hide things. I actually think keeping the tension on curly hair is the hardest. So it's really, really important to think about that discipline as you're doing it. Right, now we're going to bring everything back into the rest of the haircut. So it goes to the corner of the chair. So if you imagine everything in the sides will now meet at the corner of the chair. As your arms. Right. As your arms.
Right.
That's good. Let's see if you say that in an hour. Right. That's fine. Alright. So now we're coming through to the sides. This is the important part now because it meets in the middle. So I've now gone through the back to the mustard process. I'm now going to go through the side to the mustard process, and what that does then is really like the corner of the chair. It's just a discipline that we're going to, which then keeps the corner nice and safe connected to the sides. And again, it only takes off the tiniest amount, but it's enough. It's a nice little technique. It's like a little dance, Miss Joanne. That's it.
Sit now.
Miss Joanne. Would if any of your students are watching this tonight?
I hope
They'll
not.
be like, well, they'll know what goes into your
I
head.
know, they will do.
A lot of people do look at it and think, actually, they say, oh, it's just a haircut. It's not just a haircut, it's like painting a Rembrandt or something. Each one is individual and it's got to be right. See, the layers are still long. There's a little shape coming there. Let's just go around to this side, shall we? Yes, let's. Okay, so here we are.
Quick change there.
That's it. It's like going on a carousel. That's it. Hi. Let's come round. Oh, I love this song. What a tune. I'd love to cut to this on stage. Really would. This is a great tune. It is, baby. There you go. So yes. So again, it's really important just to cut to the corner, because again, you've got to think about everything how it's coming through now. So we're now about to enter towards the top part of the haircut. And then we're going to reduction of weight with a razor blade, then we're going to some blow drying. Okay, so again, keeping everything really tight on the tension. Again, corner of the chair, really important. And of course, this is level with the head. See how I can stop at any time and I can say, right, okay, we're there. Now I need to just make sure everything's right. So now we're going to go back again to the discipline, which is, I'll come back around to the camera and see what's going on. So we're now going to go back from the apex through to the mustard process, which we've been using a lot tonight. Everybody will know that through the back of the hand. Well, just like the back of the hand, they'll say, oh yeah, apex to the mustard process. Right, so now we go to the top part. This is really important now because you've got to think about your discipline. So this part is cut exactly the same as if you were doing a conventional rounded layout. So the important part here is see how that is up straight. I don't cut it relaxed, it's all really, really tight. Now the important part here is the arm. The arm actually delivers what we're after. So the more I move my arm up, the straighter it is. Now what I'm going to do now is, that's the previous bit we've cut there. Just going to go into it with a pair of scissors and just take it off to the second knuckle. And then all we do then is just make sure everything's off. Moving round and pivoting round like we've done with the bottom part of it. Keep everything clean. Up it goes. I tend to cut over the finger as I am now, just purely because I just think it's a lot more easier. If you came into it like that, it's okay, but you see how the wrist is bent as you're doing it, so it's easier to go from that to that because it's more natural. Okay, so those of you that have never tried it, try that. Okay, so now look, the arm's pushing again, which again is really important, because again you've got to use the arm to keep the hair in the right position. It will start to ache purely because you're using this muscle here. If it's pulling on that, you know then it's starting to hurt and you're in the right position. Come on over, watch me now. Okay, so most people at this point would be standing backwards as they're doing this, but the way I tend to do it is pivot round when you get to the end of that section and then lift it up again, and then you're able to, now you've got to watch the arm, because this is the arm. Look, the arm again pushes up, and then all you do then is just come into it and then use the scissors on the top and slice it out. Being careful to watch your fingers when you're doing it. Make sure you've not missed anywhere, and that's okay. So we're now going to move to the last section. Okay, alright then. Are you going to sleep, you do? No, sweetheart. I'll wait you want to finish on. So the arm again, because if you push it too far up, it will go straight. You really want a rounded section on it. So now just come through, take that off. Now just make sure I've not missed anything. And my body's dead straight while I'm doing this, which again is what you've got to be thinking of, rather than going through the hair and bending all over it. It's just really important. Right, so we've now got that all completed. Now everything on this layer through the top, we're going to be working through the parietal ridge, and then we'll be doing everything above that parietal ridge in a square layer. Okay, everything below that line will be a rounded layer. So that's the discipline, and we're not bringing it sort of all the way from the back to the front, back to the section. We're just going to lift it up freely to where it is, and what that will do then is, from the front, what it will do then is create lift here and a nice strong shape through there, which is what we're after. That real nice shape. If we left it square, it would be heavy on the end, and as it dropped, it would then come through like an A-line dress and give us that perfect A. But what we're looking to do is knock that A off and make it so it looks like a really nice rounded effect. Some of you that have got bobs will be thinking, that's what I want. That's how it's done. It just depends how much you put in on the bend. So now it's going to go through the top, the arm stays up, and then literally I'll just go into it with the scissors and take off enough. Okay, now we're going to go into the next part, which is the parietal ridge, which is the discipline. Now I'm going to go rounded, the arm comes up again, see the arm, see the tension on there, and then just literally come into it. Kate from Locks, if she's watching, in Mildenhall, I'm guessing you'll be on there. I need to talk to you about ordering me some razor blades if you are watching tonight, because I do need some more razor blades and I know that you can get them. So the arm goes up square at this point. See how I'm bringing this scissor in at an angle while I'm doing this. It just cuts a bit easier. You gotta make sure you know your scissors at this point. I know my scissors, they know me. I've had them long enough. It says it's true. It's like when you drive a car, you know the car, it knows you. Yeah, and then you say, "Oi, how you doing?" Right, again, so now we're just going to go through the top.
Matthew Sidwell.
Matthew Sidwell, good to see you. The question is, have you done your 3 things, what I asked you to do earlier on, and have you made the first move? Those are the questions that I've got for you. And the final question is, are you positive? I want you to respond to me in a private box message so that I know what's going on. Josh Brown! Good to see you with us. Don't worry, I'm not having a fit, it's fine, that's what he likes. He just likes the noise. Good to see you, Josh. Hope you're okay. Hope your family's okay. He's a model as well. Good to see you with us. Hope you're okay. I'm there. So yeah, so Josh is like when I introduced you tonight. Josh was the person who sat in the chair. Probably didn't see him, and he actually impersonated me and did what I do. But I didn't know I was going to do it. Absolutely brilliant. So Josh is just down the road. It's good. I like somebody who's a bit of a comedian. It's good. So again on here, discipline. Just thinking about your sections. It's all good. Keep it square, and then again bring it in. Take it out, chip it off, and then again just looking at where you're going with it. Pull it out at an angle, which is really important. And again, it's all about the discipline of the scissor. Okay, square, last piece of square section now to go up. It's only a tiny bit got to come off, but again, you just think about what your arms are doing. It's like the lights are dimming down there. That's like, I need to get the gerbil in the so the hamster on the wheel. That's it. I know what I mean. Get the hamster on the wheel, quick. Let's get it moving. Right, so there's side 1. Let's go back round to side 2. Let's all change. That's it. Hello. As if by magic. So, parietal ridge, everything above it square, everything below it rounded. So now we're just going to go through here. Again, it's all the discipline on it, really important. So now just lift it up. We're coming in from the other side this time, which is the same technique as what we were doing, but we're just coming from this side. Rounded now below, so we're just going to make sure everything's nice. It doesn't snag on the ends, because by taking all these ends off, it removes all this snaggy hair. How's your head? All right? Not pulling too hard?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. You can come again. So you can sort of see, thanks. So you can sort of see how I'm taking this off. It just keeps everything clean and tidy, which again is really important. When you play this back, you'll be able to see exactly what I put into your haircut. It's quite a lot actually, it's more than what you think. But you knew that already. Okay, so you can see now just making sure everything's all cleaned off. I'm almost cutting at show speed tonight. It's because I'm getting ready to go on stage for Liz, you see. I'm making sure that I can still cut it show speed. That's it. Just make sure everything's clean and tidy. That's it. There we go, make sure everything's alright, and then the arms up, because of course the arms have got to be up good. That's good. Alright Dad, how's your arm?
Yeah, good.
Excellent. I never used to ask you. It's only because Big Mate was filming the other week, I could see. that the arm does take a beating when you're doing the filming. You've been at it probably nearly 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Right, so now, everything in this quadrant, which is a quarter, goes up square just to make sure that everything's level. See, it's like a tachograph, so there's not much that needs to come off there. The next part below the parietal ridge is a rounded layer. So you now just pull it out at a slightly rounded layer, which you can see there's one strand there, that's good. Okay, we'll now go through to the next part, so that's between, if you look at a cross on the top, we're now going to go back to the side just here. So literally this is one section, we just literally take this corner off here, lift it out. This comes out a rounded layer because if you remember it was all a rounded layer. So just literally bring it out into the corner. If there's anything needs to come off there, off it comes. That's all of that completed. Okay, so now we'll come back round to this side. We'll do the top part first. All right, Dad, look, you're moving in real close there. I thought, hey, here we go. Hello. So now square, everything above the parietal ridge, just to make sure it's okay. Remember, it will look like a tachograph, so it'll be very choppy. If it had got really long strands in it, you know there would be a problem. Say there would be half an inch too long, then you know there's a problem. So, right, now it's a rounded layer. And then the final piece is a quadrant again, so we go from the back of the head through to the corner. So just literally just to dissect the hair, so you're just taking a corner out and then lifting it up just to make sure that everything's all alright. Okay, so now lifting up. This is on the final piece. This is literally the final piece of the actual layering. So there's quite a lot been involved tonight in this, and then all you do then is just make sure that's level. Okay, so now we'll come back into it one more time just to make sure everything's fine. So what we're going to do in a minute is, once we've cut this, so we've cut it obviously already on the wet relationship, what we're going to do in a minute is do the blow dry, and then when we come back for the actual part after the blow dry, we'll then put the razor blade in it and just reduce some of the weight slightly, because when you do it, you can do it wet or dry, but the idea is when it's dry you can then reduce the weight and see what it's doing. Then we'll blow dry and use the straightening irons to then create the bend. Right, so now the next part we're going to bring into it is the next product. Hair Muck 20-in-1 Miracle Treatment. I did that without even looking at it. I was thinking, God, I hope I'm calling out the right. Very light product, so again, it's just about 3 squirts of that. Very versatile blow drying lotion, which will do everything from volumising hair, making it smooth, sleek and shiny, containing conditioner. It's got everything in one, hence it's called 20-in-1. A lot of my clients have turned around to me and say that is an amazing product, it's very light, it doesn't make my hair feel heavy, you know, it gives me the volume I wish. So for those of you muck lovers out there who want to try something different, it's a great product for that. I know Lynn Marie Atkinson's got some. I'd like to know how it's working for her with that restyle. Again, it's just a question of just making things work for you. But you can see now, as I just claw this through, you can actually start to see the shape of the hair. It's starting to appear. Right, let's just remove this because it'll be a bit lighter for you. How's that, lighter?
Yeah, that's good.
Isn't it? Just like 10 ton weights come off your back. Right, so this is going to be quite loud now because we're going to use a hairdryer. So what we'll do is, pull on, bring on, pull on. Good to see you, Paul. I'll be okay, bro. So what we'll do first of all is get all the moisture out. The idea is to keep everything nice and smooth, drying in a downward motion. The idea is that the hair will really sit better and create more of a shine. Just going through the top, we're trying to grab the airflow as it comes through and really sort of stroke it in as you're doing it, and then it creates the shine. Oh look, there's a shine. Little tricks like that, that's really good. The idea is just to make sure it's all working, so I'll try to knock me out. Or pull your ear out of your head. That's it. Sorry, I didn't know. Alright, so bring your hand side. That's what I meant to do, move your hand side. Just a quick donkey punch. No. So you can see now, just by stroking the product in, you can really see the shine starting to appear. You just have to be quite sort of deliberate with it. Most people would say, why are you drying the hair out before you dry it with a brush? Well, yeah, good question. The idea is you want to make it as easy as you can on yourself, so that if you actually dry it from dripping wet, yeah, okay, it's a good thing to do, but it will create probably wrist ache and arm ache for you, so you can take out as much as you can first and claw it through. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so I'll just need an attachment on the dryer. So this is what I like to play, the quick game. She looks small, she looks big. That's it. That's the one. Right, so let's just get a brush. We're going to keep this very light and easy, so we'll just use a paddle brush for this part. So, once I've straightened the hair out slightly, what we'll do then is go straight in with the straighteners. Now you put the dryer on. Just get the cable, that's it. Fine, cool. Use it more like, because you've got a big sponge to put the dryer on, you can actually use this as an iron. Just iron it out. Remember, you're not looking for it poker straight, because the straighteners will do the rest for you. As long as it's fairly straight afterwards, the idea is it gets a bit more control. And then what I can do then is really showcase how the straighteners work. Then you just need to just keep it controlled when you're working. Keep the sections nice and tidy as you're doing it. If this was dripping wet, you'd be on this all night. So it's just important just to keep it. See how I elevate it when I do it? But the product now work in harmony to give it a really nice shine. You start to see the colour changing as well. Really good. It just all, it's when you think about the product is equally as important as the tools that you use to create the look. Just put your brush in. Again, by using a paddle brush, it just makes it a lot more challenging for me. I could just go straight in at this now with a round brush, but I just think by using a paddle brush, it just makes it so much more easy. Just to grab the hair and move it around, but also more challenging in terms of the finish. So it's all really going to be on the style stick later to really show what it can do. And now you can see we just make sure we've got hold of the hair as we're doing this. It just really creates a lot of hair. See the shine on it immediately under here. That's what we're after, even a nice colour change. Right, so now, diagonal back section. Looking for the ideal way of doing that is just to create more lift and more body. The brushing dryer, it's like a trailer affair. Basically, where the truck goes, the trailer follows. So again, it's just very American, that is, by the way. And now you can see, just bring this round, let it cool for a second, take it off, and you start to see the shape I created earlier. I know you don't want to look, you can tell. Okay, so again, just keep it moving nice and smooth, all smooth. Just keeps everything nicely in unison with the rest of what we're doing. Okay. Again, just make sure you've not missed anything out. Really important. So you're looking to get it fairly smooth or smooth. Okay. There's side one. It's not on fire, but it's good and controlled. Okay, we go then. So into the back. Take another section. Literally then. Just right back. Again, the nozzle really plays an important role in this because it controls the hair as you're doing it. And again, it's really important because it's all about the angles you take and how you do them and how you stand with the dryer. See how I'm holding the dryer with my wrist. It takes less stress on the body. I was holding it how you should be holding it, which is on the handle. My wrist would be really bent round. It would be quite difficult to do. It just keeps everything nice in harmony with the body, because you got to think about how your body's going to take a beating doing this. If you do this sort of 13, 14 times a day, you know, you're going to be struggling after a while, so really important. Okay. Just when we're getting down with the brush. Don't be scared. You don't look scared anyway, it's good. Nice. See. So again, where that brush goes, make sure that dry goes with it. It's really important. I should be getting a dry from Muxteen. They're bringing one out, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Nice. Something a little bit different. I don't have this noisy hairdryer. It looks like an ice cream cone. This reminds me of it. Good. Set. Okay, so more around this way. Certainly keeps you fit, so I can work out Saxon this is, but in a positive way. Again, you've got to be as technical with this as you have with the cut, so really just keep on it, stay on the numbers. Just a question of really just showing the products to what they can do with the hair. Keeps it a bit more controlled. Before you put your heat product on, let the straighten off. There's the tape top coming off. That'll be interesting. Alright. Hello. Right, little lad, yeah. Please. For watching. That's it. Okay, so you can see, start it off first. Get some moisture out of the roots. If there's any in there. And really just pull it. Not looking to go too much on the pull, but enough so you can just get the tension on it. And the idea is when you go through it with the razor afterwards, you can really see where you're going. Tap. That's right, almost an pack of hair. Ooh. Tap. You've got to always think about how comfortable it is for the customer, not making it too uncomfortable, so drying it with the brush first, into the roots, really important, and then just doing that final smoothing off to make it nice and smooth after, which is what finishes it out. As you can see, I've got a lot of hair to work with. Normally we'd switch this off at this point and people wouldn't see what's going on, but I just thought, well, now I changed the way I work. I like people to see everything, that way there's no cheating. People can then really sort of see everything that's going on. Because again, it's all about sharing knowledge and technique. What makes it interesting. Again, if you were working on a guesting salon with this kind of style, you have to be thinking about how you're going to be making it really, really comfortable to do it for them. Okay, so now we're on the sides. Make sure your nozzle's the right way. Okay, so now, bring it around towards the face, let it cool for a second, and then get right in there. Okay. Just grab hold of it, make sure you don't miss anything. Remember, we're not looking for it to be looking perfect at this point. We're going to do all that with a straightener later, just to make sure everything's perfect. Okay, so now we're in onto the next part. Okay, so again, diagonal back section. Be careful so you don't get the hair sucked up in the dryer. You've got to be really disciplined with that as you're doing it. Just sort of dry it around the face a bit, off the face, just to make sure it's comfortable for the guest, which is really important. You've got to think about that all the time. when you're cutting and when you're blow drying, it just makes it so much more better. Use a comb as well for this part if you wanted to. You can blow dry through a comb. That's also another way of doing it. Okay, so now we're coming through. Okay, so now we're about to start on the top. Again, always think about the direction of the dryer. It's really important to think about that. Let's go and lift it. That's it. Right, now, straight through the top. Just get in there and attack it. It's very much like a game. You've got to really sort of be really deliberate with what you're doing. Masterful, in fact. Yeah, we've got to be masterful. I'll tell you what to do. So let's just change that angle of the dryer. Go to the second hand. That's it. There you go. The left-handed blow dryer. You have to be ambidextrous when you do it. Good. That's it. I get excited. That's my problem. When it comes to doing any kind of hairdressing, I just get really excited. That's not bad though, really.
Not bad then.
But, so, again, it should be a bit easier once you've dried a bit more out of the roots. What allows you to get the movement in it. Again, you can see the shine starting to appear now through there. The products are working nice. Have a little feel of that now. It's quite soft, isn't it? Soft like baby's hair. So that's what we're after, like a real nice soft feel to it. Again, just make sure we don't miss anything. It's really important. Okay, let's just have a switch. Switch over and switch. Alright. Nearly tripped over, bless him. Did you think you were on carousel? That's it. There we go. Just grab hold of everything. Keep it turned. You can really hold that brush. You really get some kick round on it. Look at that. Just pull out the sky. It's intact. So you just got to make sure you've not really forgotten anything if you can help it. That now just controls that part a little bit more. So it is all fingers and thumbs a little bit. But again, it's really important. Just make sure I've not missed anything under there. Have a look. Okay. Well, but I can actually sort of speak comfortably without shouting. So that pretty much is a blow dry with a paddle brush or alternative scalp massage brush. Which again, all it does is it massages the scalp, which is really quite nice. So the beautiful thing now is we've now got a canvas to work with, and we can actually now go through the cut again, which is what I call now the draw relationship with the haircut. So we're going to go through that, make sure the back's all square, go through the sides, make sure the layers are right, and then bring in the crescendo, which is the razor, and just take some weight out, and then we're going to get in there with the stole stick and show you how to get the curl, hopefully. Okay, so here we go. Let's get some scissors. It's always the best part. So remember, it's a little bit more controlled to what it was earlier. So at this point now I'm just going to go through, revisit everything, make sure I've not missed anything. So just come through the back. You can see the layers we cut earlier on, they all just go in perfectly. You may not see it properly because of the grain of the hair, but later on you'll see the layers are all there beautiful, and there's absolutely no whatsoever, no layers sticking out, no steps or anything. Is that on there? Rob Smith. Is that Rob Smith on there? Woo! Rob Smith, good to see you, hope you're okay, and also Chris Jordan tonight. So, not to miss anybody out. Alright, Rob Smith loves that, he absolutely. I train with him at Saxon, so you have to make sure you don't miss anybody out, you see. They all love it. So just make sure everything's all nice. You can see the comb glides through the hair. does. Obviously, if we've not used the right products or we've not done the blow dry correctly at this point now, it'll be difficult to go through. Okay, so this really is just an exercise to make sure that everything's level and also start to really sort of control it down a little bit. I should imagine for those of you that are sticking with it, big mate Lynn Marie Atkinson and Grace, of course. She'll be saying, "Is that me, Daddy? Did you just call my name out?" That's it. Yeah, and Cara, of course, not forgetting Cara with a guitar. I'm looking forward to listening to. For example, you know, it's a question of now. It'll probably be another 20 minutes before I finish. So I've just got to go through with the straightening irons and get that curl in it. So I'll just go through the sides. It's looking a bit more controlled. Sort of see where we're going with it. Right, so now we go through the side panels just to make sure everything is like a checklist. When you do it, you've got to make sure that everything's checked out properly. Sounds like baggage at the airport, doesn't it? Checked out. Why is it important? There's a checklist actually when you're in a plane. Checklist to make sure everything's fine. The more you turn the scissor, the more it takes off. We don't want to take too much off. You call this technique fanning the hair, which by obviously moving it around, it looks like a fan. So you just keep everything nicely moved around and in position, so it's easy. Right, let's go back through to the side. By the way, you just move. It's dead cool. You just know, don't you? Been there, done that. Got a t-shirt. That's it. Okay, so now, because of course you want the Roman Catholic Church show, I remember. While I was cutting hair then, I got a dodgy mic. I remember, with a plaster on it. A long time ago. Somebody handed that microphone with a plaster on it. I thought, what's this? Real diva moment. What's this? Well, at least I've tamed down a bit since then. At least your hair now is taming down too. Right, so now we're going to go back through to this point here. We've just got to go through the top and just make sure everything's just sort of tamed down a little bit. So we'll just go through the ends, make sure the edges are all nicely tidy. You can see I'm really just taking the edges off. The length still stays the same, it's just to make sure that the weight is just a little bit more controlled. So in a minute we'll put the razor blade through. Only in the back section because there's quite a lot of hair here. So just want to start the process working nicely. And that just makes it just a little bit easier. So you've got to think about keeping it easy for yourself, regardless of what you do. It's got to be easy. It just keeps it all right. Always grip it with your fingers, because if you pull the hair, it will stop the guest from having any pain. Okay, a razor. So now what we're looking at is the midsection. You can start to see everything starting to fall in smooth, even though it's even though it's not properly been styled yet. So if we were doing this straight, you can actually really start to see where we're going with it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is elevate the hair slightly. Just going to very lightly with the razor blade, just very lightly, just touch it, razor it down. All of a sudden it's got everybody's attention. They'll be watching this and they're going, oh my god, oh my god. See, I'm just gliding it on. What it's doing is it's taking some of the hair out. Like I said, you can do this on wet or dry. The idea is it's reducing about 50% of the hair when I do it. So obviously through the back pec section you can really see there's a lot of weight in there, so I need to now reduce some of this off. So always break it into like little sections, and then all you do then is mid-section down, and then just literally, you can hear that noise. That's it. I'll do it a little bit more slower, so that's it. There we go. And again, what this does is it just reduces a little bit of weight, so it just takes away that. If you pull the camera back a bit for me, is that alright?
Yep.
Pull the camera back a bit so you can actually see all of the head. That's it. Thanks, my little friend. So I used to tell me when I got in trouble. Thanks, my little friend. So now you can see as I'm going mid-section down. So keep the camera back. Keep the camera back. That's it. And you can actually see the whole section I'm cutting. So I'm doing it. There you go. That's it. I just wanted everybody to see the whole section.
Close to see how much.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do it again. Right, when you come in close, my little friend. There you go. That's it. Thanks, Dad. That's it. So now we can have a bit of a domestic in a minute. So everybody, how's your night? Let me tell you what kind of night I'm having. That's it. Thanks, Dad. Don't worry, you're doing a great job. Right, so now we've got quite a bulk of hair here. You can see. Just literally just put the razor on. See, it doesn't damage the hair. It doesn't tear the hair. Got quite a bit of hair there. That's it. Don't worry, you've still got hair. Don't worry, it's fine. It doesn't affect anything. It's all still there. Okay, so now we're going to turn slightly. But you see how that's now gone a bit more, it's angling in, so you've got more of that turn. So that when you watch this video, you understand what I've done and why. I've written your name in the back actually.
Okay.
No, I haven't. not tonight.
At least I won't
I'll tell you what I rated it, especially for you. LCFC. No, I didn't.
Thanks.
It's my pleasure. Burbage.
Yeah.
But I put it in as Burbage. That's it. That's the one. Okay, so slightly angled again. Got to elevate the hair slightly and then just literally come through. Now by doing that you can see, if you angle it up, you have to elevate it. It creates a better look and makes it more softer. So now we've got that and it's now, but just by touching it with a hand, it really sort of brings it in slightly. Now really it's a question of just being very visual on this. Picking the whole section but not taking too much. This side's got a lot more hair, so you tend to just want to take a bit more out of it because it's got a little bit more hair. But only out the midsection. So when I say the midsection, it's through that middle panel. The length has to stay long at the bottom. Okay, so there's the first side. It's still there, still long, still got hair. It's fine. Don't worry, don't worry. Quick reassuring look there. What did you do? Okay, so now again, a lot of people ask for this technique. This is something I learnt in London in 1992, and it also becomes very popular now. A lot of people request it on short bobs. They want the weight taken out of the middle section just to create that curve, that heart shape. So again, you can use it on wet or dry. If you've never done this technique before as a hairdresser, I strongly recommend you do it on wet hair first on a doll, so that way you can actually make sure if you take too much off. The secret is keep it practically flat when you're cutting. Do not cut it at that angle because it will tear the hair and it will just rip it out. So it's just elevate, put it on slightly flat. You'll feel it cut. It's almost like a plane when you're planing a piece of wood. It just takes the edge off it, and then depending on how much you press on the razor, it's what it takes off. But you can see now I just fades that all in. There's no steps and it all looks absolutely spot on and perfect. There's your look, madam. Thanks very much. Please do call again. Thanks. Right, so now we're going to go into the room where we're hoping to do the final finish now to make sure everything looks nice. So you need a pair of straighteners, or as Muck call it, a style stick. Okay, so we're going to use the style stick this evening. Let's just get the on switch. Got a load of switches under here, you can see. Hold on, that's it, there we go. So what we've got obviously is a controller that tells us what our temperature is right now. That's going to go up to 230 degrees in a second. And also we've got a nice controlling switch with on and off, up or down on the temperature. A normal flat plate, but what makes it really important is that red little ionic plate that's in there. So if you've got really flyaway hair, that will condition it with that red light that's in there and take the positive ions and turn them into negative, which is what we're about to do now. So pass it to your guest. Right, there you go. You just carry on with it. Thanks. So what I tend to do is work in corners, but what we're going to do now is quadrants that I did earlier on. I'm going to go across the whole of the back section first. Now each section that I actually sort of style, I'm going to put hair lacquer on just to hold it in place. So you have to be really, really direct with this. So when I say direct, as in I'm going to be working the back section first, all the way up the back panel, then we'll come through the side panel, then we'll go through the side panel. That will then conclude the style for this evening, and then we will then go through what we did earlier. Okay? That sound alright, my little friend? Excellent. Thanks. So, thanks. Taking fairly wide sections because, again, it depends what size curl you'd like. If you take a fairly wide section, now people do this differently, this is the way I was always taught to do it. So put the iron on first in the root, make sure the root's nicely done there. The smoking will be all the product that's on it, so basically it's just getting hold of it now. You're just going to go through it, straighten it slightly, and then just turn it on the end. And all you're going to do then is just let it sort of cook for a little bit. You can see the shine's already on it, so we've got a nice effect on there. What you do then is release, but undo it slowly. and that now creates a perfect barrel. Okay, so we're just going to come through here. Same again, because you don't want to miss the root, that's why I do this. And then literally in it comes, really glow through it. Because what you're doing is, as you're heating it, it's allowing you to turn it so as it cools, the bonds go round to the shape of what this straightener is. Now if you use the wide plate straightener, you get an even bigger, larger wave. Okay, so we're after random waves tonight, which is what we're on here. Now you can see, if I was to go like that, you can see how straight it goes. It's real quick. It's a great set of straighteners. A lot of people that have bought these irons off me have said, oh amazing, Nikigawa, Limerick Atkinson, just to name a few. I tend to rock it slightly and then just release. And again, this is a great way to show just how good, thank you, just how good the curl is. Right now we're going to use another product for this, which is the Muck Hair Lacquer, just to go in there. Again, very lightly across the back, and then we're going with the next section. So you can really see where we're going with this. By the time we've sort of gone through it, obviously it's going to look like a completely different head of hair, which is now you can start to see the sort of visualisation of what I've had with the finish. Again, on the photos, when we finish, you will see the finished effect. I'll see, I'll need that in a second. That's the one. Okay, that's it. So I purposely used the brush I use so we can really sort of see the change. Okay, so now just to the end. It's all fingers and thumbs, that's why I have to make sure this is not hot, because the nice thing about it is well made, so it doesn't burn your fingers, because again, a lot of other brands do burn you. When you touch them on the end, you can see how that just comes out, nice wave. Okay, next piece, here we go. Let's just get right in there now, get stuck in. So, making sure the roots look good. Again, we're after shine, so the 21 Miracle, working in harmony with the products we've used already, comes into play, and then we'll use the argan oil afterwards, just to scrunch in. But you can really start to see where we're going with this now, which is really good. And again, you just have to be very, very deliberate with where you're going with it, so you don't want to be going into places where you're thinking, hold on a minute, you know, potentially I've been there already. So to keep your control as you're doing it. Just hope you like it later. Good answer. I'm sure you like it. Let's put it this way, the rest of the world has seen it, so that's it. You'll see it when I come around the side. It'll look, believe it or not, it'll look even thicker. Get around with this. Yeah, but more controlled with it. And the nice thing is it'll have a great shine. Because I mean, when you see the shine on it, you won't believe the shine that the products are producing. And I'm sure that's what's really coming through tonight for the viewers, to actually see the shine. What's happening. And you're actually seeing it produced, well, live in front of you. For those of you that just joined us, this is literally, we've done it live all the way through. You get a chance to see everything, see what the products can do with the hair. It's really cool. Thanks for that. Thank you. Okay, more lacquer spray. And it is a great way to work. I mean, when I decided to do this, I really thought I'm really going to sort of show what these irons can do, because they are really good. I mean, people say to me, what irons do you use? Obviously, by using these irons, I just think that they work for me. Not because I work for Muck, but I just think that these irons are absolutely beautiful. When I went to the NEC nearly 3 years ago, I had to stand on a trade stand and basically use them for 2 days and go on to people's hair that had not had any Muck products in them whatsoever. And we were doing, obviously, these effects, and people saying, wow, they're amazing. You know, I've never sort of seen a shine so good. And you can really sort of see that in just a perfect barrel. That's what it does, it's just really perfect. It's really cool. So again, when you're putting your trust in a styling stick or a product, you've got to make sure you know what you're doing with it. I mean, people were shocked when I was using straighteners at 230 degrees, but that's what we're using. You know, you've got to be confident with it. That's what I say when you look at this now. It's coming up at 230, which is what we're actually using it on. So it is actually doing what I'm saying it's doing. You know, we've not stuck the number on, it's actually sort of on there, it's working. So fair play to everybody in Australia that's designed these products, because they are truly beautiful and really do a superb job. And again, as a hairdresser, an electrical tool and a product is equally as important as the cut itself. to make it right. As Dad knows when he does haircuts, you know, it's got to be right, isn't it, when you're doing it? It's got to be right, the gear you're using, the things you're using. I've got a nod. He has got his hearing aid in, it's alright. You can hear me, bless him. Okay, that's it. Let's make sure on that. That's it. So now just come through. See, the colour's really changed as well. When you see this, you'll be amazed how the colour's changed. I always get amazed by that, how the colour changed. I only know the last section. That's impressive. Just have eyes on the back of your head. I'm scared. Okay, so keep your sections quite clean as you're doing it, because again, you've just got to be disciplined when you're doing it. When we get after this section, we then go towards the top, and then we go to the sides, and then we'll start to see some even more bigger changes then. Okay, so now take the section, bring around. Thank you. Just tried to catch me out, really. Okay. Nikki Gower. Woo! Okay, Nikki. Recognise these? Really being put through a test tonight, these are. I just mentioned you by name. So, Nikki, you're really pleased with these, are you? Is that
Sarah Jane.
Sarah Jane?
Oh.
Hello, Sarah Jane. Hope you're okay. Good to see you with us tonight. Actually seeing this now live as it's being done. If you're driving around, see the shine on that. It's really beautiful. Oh, that's what we're after, I'm sure. Nikki will vouch for just how good they are. They really do what they say on the tin. It's just incredible. When everybody sees the red light for the first time, they all think, what is that? But it really does do, you know, something different and truly beautiful.
She says she loves them up straighteners.
Excellent. I'm so pleased to hear that, and thank you for trusting, you know, the product. It's really what it is. That's why I say what it does on the tin. Again, it's just getting everything right and making sure that it all works for you, because again, everybody's used to other competitive straighteners, but when you use these, obviously it's a little bit different. That's why I say it's quite interesting when you first pick them up, because they do feel a bit like, you know, a little bit heavier than what they are, but then they become very light and agile.
Charlie Lloyd.
Charlie Lloyd!
Hello.
Hello, I'm still here. Hope you're okay, sweetheart. Nice to see you. I haven't moved from where you say goodbye to me. It's our wonderful Saturday lady that works, well, Saturday and Thursday lady that works with us, integral part of the team. She'll be helping me on Thursday when I'm working, which is cool, as on a Saturday as well. Okay, so now we're at the upper occipital bone. Bet you're thinking to yourself, Charlie, I bet you're thinking, can't believe Scott's still there. Oh, that's right. And Joanne. It's Joanne. Still here as well. And my dad. It's actually a pre-recording. I'm at home having my dinner, really. That's what it is. Watching news at 10. That's it. It's all cool, so you can really sort of see where we're going with this now. So, just a nice way. It's just this look. People, like I say, people have different ways of getting the body out of the straighteners, but again, it's just important to get the roll. I tend to elevate it up a bit if I want more lift, and then just take it off, but it's that release that gives it that bend on there, which changes everything, which is quite nice. So again, you can see the old red lights do it all for us. It's a good job they're not green lights. They're like green screen syndrome. Or blue. You think it's police, ambulance or fire. As it's it does tend to flash a little bit sometimes when you're moving it fast. Okay. It's just a bit of humour there. So now, it's a final piece. You can just sort of see, just bend round, sort of see how big those waves are now coming through. It's a little bit more controlled. Some more lacquer in there, more lacquer. Okay, so now we move to the side. So So what I'll do now is just come in on the first piece. Let's keep it all nicely connected. It's my glamorous assistant. Thanks glamorous assistant. Make sure you've got your section right for what you need. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And then just on the way to the end, just got to make sure you don't burn the ears, so just got to just be aware of that when you're doing it. Again, it's really important. This does take a little bit of time to do, which I know you'll think to yourself, but then again, you'll be able to think to yourself, well, tomorrow you won't have to do it, so you know you can get up and it'll just be okay. Just make sure that it doesn't touch it. That's it. Don't touch the hair. Like I said, not a fever. Don't touch the hair. Just watch the ear when you're doing this part, and then all you do then is just release off, and then that gives us again nearly one more. one more. I know you're keen. That's good. That's it. But the good thing about doing this technique now is you can actually get right into the root with it as you're doing the first part, and then literally just make sure you've not missed anything as you're on there, so you can actually just see that bend nicely. Okay, now into with the spray, just to make sure everything's in that sort of dusting of spray. Again, very American, that is dusting of spray. We'll make sure it just cascades on. Okay, so now we're going to go through this part, then all we do then is go through the other side, and then pretty much we're about there. Just have to just make sure that everything works. Thank you. Thanks very much. You always have to make sure you thank people, because it's really important. Like, thank you to my wonderful team that work so hard in the daytime. Thank you to all my loyal customers, guests that support me and the salon. Thank you very much to all our followers, international and national. Thank you to my dad for filming. Thank you to all our previous models that have modelled for the 39. And thank you to Joanne Stewart. It's Joanne. For modelling tonight. So it's really important, you know, it's the support of the people around you. My wife, thank you to my wife as well for cooking my dinner and being there and generally supporting me. It's just really important because, again, we all have to be thankful. Like hairdressers, when you're training, when you're learning, as with anything, learning beauty therapy, you know, it's important because it's not easy, and it's all about practice. Practice makes perfect. I mean, even to do this on here, you know, I've got to be obviously confident in what I'm doing. I can't just sort of do it. I've got to just make sure that it's got to be comfortable and it's got to look comfortable. So it's just important, and you know, you just sort of think to yourself, you've got to make sure when you're doing something, if you've never tried it before, rewind the video back and have a go at it yourself, and you'll find that you can do it too. Okay, so you can see the shine now here. It's really, really nice, that shine, which creates that nice natural look. Okay, so we're now slowly working towards the front, about another 3 sections, and then we're going to go on to the other side, and then we'll use the argan oil to finish off with tonight. I'd normally go with slick muck, but I'm going to use the argan oil. It's going to be a lot more lighter, conditioning, and again, it's part of the spa range, which again is really important because it's got a nice smell to it, I should say aroma to it, and again it just makes things like a little bit more nice and light with the work done tonight. And again, when Joanne wakes up tomorrow morning, it's going to be not stuck to the pillowcase, so I need to be thinking about these things, so it's versatile and easy to operate. And you'll go to school tomorrow and everybody will say, "Hair looks different, miss."
Yeah.
What about if somebody turns around to you and says, "I saw you on Facebook Live last night, miss"?
So did you enjoy it?
Okay.
It was good, wasn't it?
Back round this way now, so I'm going to come round to this side, thank you. Should we bring the camera? You're right there. Do you want to come on the other side? Just thinking the light. That's it, my little friend. Excellent. Magic stuff, magic. You're doing really well, Dad. I'll take you out and buy you a meal, don't worry. Okay. Yeah. It's really cool. Really cool. Okay, so big mate's thinking you're doing a great job. He actually said to me when he did the straightening, did you do the straightening? When he did the filming, which was very smoth, I've got to say. He said to me, he said, "Don't know how your dad does it." So there you go. Why don't you give everybody a little wave so that he can see you? Give him one little wave. There you go, that's it. They'll all be saying, "Hi Ian, hi Ian." So we'll do it on move around this way. Let's just go on it now. So I can get the light a bit better. Light's really, really important when you're filming. As with photography, it's really, really important. Just get this little last piece. Just got to make sure you miss the ears, but you get the kink. And again, it's really, really important. So, you can really see that nice little kink in there. Again, if you're doing wedding hair, this is a great little technique to do. Believe it or not, I actually do wedding hair. Not a great deal now, but I still use this technique if I'm doing it because I just find it so easy and so versatile. We'll be doing some styling live videos soon. Which I'll be actually, believe it or not, I'm actually going to come on here and do hair up. And some people will be absolutely shocked because I can still do hair up, but I just don't do it an awful lot. But I thought I will actually challenge myself and do a live hair up at some point and just show some versatility so people can sort of see that. So I think again, it's just keeping your skill set up there and people need to see that. Okay, just make sure you don't miss anywhere out. Okay, help. Thank you. Okay, so we're on to the last few sections now. But I might just send you out like this. There you go. Thanks.
We could go with that.
Thank you. Yeah, you'd be fine with it. I know you would.
Let's stick a ponytail out the top, well away. I'm fine.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, so what we'll do now is we've divided this up into about another section there, another section there, another section there. I think we'll be about there. When you break it down and you sort of do it like this, it actually becomes a lot more easy because obviously the most important part of this is you've got to have patience when you're doing it. You can't just sort of go at it, you know, like a bullet to gate. Sound familiar? Don't go at it like a bullet to gate. So you've got to really just sort of break it down, take the sections really carefully, and you know, just have a bit of patience. Doing hair is like ballet. Art, as I said earlier on, it's like creating magic, and when it all comes together, it really does really make it look very, very smooth, very smooth, you know, and it just all comes together. That's what it's all about. A few references tonight for Big Mate there. Obviously, we're not working in the nape tonight, so we won't be ramming clippers into the neck. There you go, thank you. Okay, so now just make sure I've got some hair lacquer on there just to keep it controlled. Okay, so that's it. I'll go around this way for you. Just a few more sections, alright. The nice thing is when you've got hair to work with like this, it's great because it is challenging to most people to work with, but if you can control it and stay really control with it, I think it's really good. You can't get too frustrated. 1 2 1 2. Hi. Testing. So yeah, you just got to stay sort of control with it. Gillian, come on, yeah. David Waite's partner? No? Okay.
Might be out of country.
Yeah, might be out of the country, that's it. If you're out of the country, have a great time out of the country. If you're watching out of the country, I hope you're having a great night too. We certainly are. If you're abroad. Okay, so you can just see, just use the end, see it's got like special finger rests in there. You can just sort of use that and then just get control. I nearly stayed out of the country. Monarch, how lucky was that? So, we landed on Wednesday, and obviously we all know what happened to it on Monday, so how lucky was that? So it would have been interesting. I've been doing hairdressing abroad. I'll pass it to the way, mate. Let's get it. Just move this over here, that's it. Okay, so a light dusting of hair lacquer. Okay, here we go. I'll pass it to you the way around in a minute. Okay, so again, you could take massive sections in this, but I was just thinking, you know, in order to get the control and sort of see the finished effect, it's just good just to take, you know, fairly small sections on it, keep it all clean, out of the way. Now what we'll do at this point is, I wasn't sure if it was trapped in the seat, thank you. we'll do now is we'll just go in at an angle. See, I'm just angling it slightly, elevating the hair. Roll it in as if you're rolling in a roller. Slightly angled up now at this point. It's going towards the top, and then all you do then is release as per normal. And what that does then is gives it a little bit more body on the root. Some of you will be going, that's how you do it. There you go.
Low battery.
Low battery. God, that's a first. Cool, blimey. How much we got?
20%.
Oh, that's alright, that's fine. We should do it before the end. We've done nearly 100% of battery. That's unbelievable. That's the first, that is. Okay, we've got to get moving there.
What do with that? Just press close.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
You've got it, yeah, that's it. If it carries on, I'll have to get, if it drains it real quick, we'll have to get the mains lead on it. It should be fine. Alright, we're nearly there now. Well done, Dad. That's really cool. That's got to be a first, that has. Right, slightly angled. And then all we do then is just release, and that just gives us a bit more. You can really see the bounce in it now, just from doing this last section. Okay, and then just literally in it goes. But the angle is really what's the important part, and then you just take that off and I'll pass to you this way. There you go. Be easier. That's it. Okay, a bit of light lacquer on there. Okay, now just slow you down because you've got to think about your positioning. It's really important. The body, as I said. Okay, through the top then now. How are we doing on the battery, Dad?
Well,
What is it?
Yeah.
Okay. What I might do is I might just plug you in a second, right? Alright. Plug you in a second. Just going
What are you
full
doing?
off. I'm going to plug you in a second. Just so you've got the mains into it, alright? See that big nice ringlet just there? Alright, just so you've got enough battery to, well, enough to play with on it. Okay, just dip your head slightly this way towards me. That's it. If you get your guest to turn, it just makes it a little bit more easy because obviously you've got to be able to get up there and do it. So again, the strainer is going right into the top now at an angle. What you do then is just bring it down. Let me know when it hits 10% on the battery. Alright. Is that alright? Because then at least you know. This is the first. I've never ever filmed and had it on that. That is unbelievable. That's some serious amount of battery to use. It was on 100% when we started. Some proper burning battery. Once we've been at it.
A lot of hair though.
An hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, an hour and 40 minutes. So it's quite unbelievable, that is. But it's no later than what we normally work, so it's fine. Okay, last few sections now. Just make sure I don't miss anything. This is when you can really sort of get a little bit sort of confused with it. So what I'll do is I'll just take that in there. Subdivide this on the front. This is what we call the money shot. Because you obviously see the front quite a lot, so you just want to make sure that everything's right, get the body in there. So divide that out there, so instead of putting 2 in, we'll put 4 in. And then literally just going at an angle. And again, it just gives it that shape and that look. So it just keeps it easy. In fact, I'll put a 3 in rather than 2, because I just want to see a bit more angle on it. And again, you can, like I said, you can really see the difference with these irons. They really have sort of like really gone in at it and really, you can really sort of see the change immediately. It just gives it a real nice look. Okay, so we've got about 4 sections to go now, which then just gives it the final look. Okay, so now at an angle, bring that out. And that just gives us that real nice perfect ringlet. Let's just bring that this way for the camera. Here she is. Woo! Okay, so now we're down to the final 3. Okay, so slightly up at an angle, rolling it in, so just going in almost vertical, just to get it in so it's right in there, and then release. Like I said, we're working at 230 degrees of heat on this, so it's a lot of heat. But again, it just creates a really nice effect on there. Like I said, we're smoothing each section. So if you were doing this straight, it would go a lot faster, but obviously because we're putting a curl in with it as well. And it's what I call a random wave on each one. You can really see the difference. When you actually come to see these photos at the very end, when I put them up probably in the next 24 hours, you'll see exactly just how the wave has worked later on. Okay, slightly up there. When you do that, watch your cable. Just leave on for a few seconds, take it off, release. You can see the shine and the cool immediately, and you can also see the colour change, right? So they can disappear. Back around this way. Going to now come in with our next and final product to finish off with, which is going to be the argan oil treatment, which is the spa range, part of the Muck Spa range. A couple of squirts of that. You will find it will sort of get absorbed into the hair pretty quickly. Let's just move around this way, so I might need some more in a second. Okay, tip your head back just slightly. All we do then is just scrunch it in. So again, we're looking for it just to be a bit more controlled when we're working in there. And then, as I said, it does get consumed very, very quickly when you're working with, you know, sort of fairly thick hair. You could run your fingers through this and you could break it up a bit more, but again, it's just a question of just making things work. Okay, so you can just sort of see the finish on this. Just a little bit more. And then what I should do is, just to finish off tonight, because we're on the Muck Spa range, I'm going to use the spray shine in a minute, just to add a little bit more extra shine. And because I like a bit of theatre, I'm going to just bring in the hair lacquer one more time before the battery runs out. And what we're going to do with this is now one of my favourites, just literally just get hold of the section we did earlier. And then what we'll do then is put the can in slightly, give it some moulding fold, and then just give it a little bit more body through the top. I do quite like this technique. This gives us a little bit more lift through the top section. So it's almost like backcombing, but a softer way of doing that. You can really sort of see that colour as it's coming through. Last product to use tonight. Again, all nice and light. We don't want to use too much. Part of the argan oil Muck Spa range, spray shine, and just literally from the top, literally just let it cascade down, and that just gives us even more shine to finish off with tonight. It's really pretty with that on there. So we have finally come to the end. Everybody's thinking to themselves, "God blimey, that's incredible." So let's just remove the gown, because I'm just conscious of the battery. Okay, so ta-da! Stand up for us. Okay, give us a little twirl. Give us a little twirl. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Enjoy it. Lap it up. That's it. So everybody can see everything. So you can see now, big change, big change. I'll say, just turn around there. So you see all the colours coming through. Everything's already changed a lot, and you've got big waves in there, so it's really cool. So let's just go through everything where we started at the beginning. We started with a one length at the bottom, which I cut with the fingers. We then went through the side panels, which you can really see now with C-shaped curvature with a razor blade. Just remembering we have a disconnection in the back which we connected. We then went through the back panel, pulled that out, and then cut the hair through the corner, which you can now see on the shape. It gives us a real strong shape in the corner. We then went through to bring the back section into the side section into the back section, which then went to the master oil process, which again you can see evidently you've got a nice shape just there. We then went through a rounded layer on the top to give us again more lift, and so everything blended through nicely. We then went through the top with a square section through the top of square layout, section off at the parietal ridge, and then giving us a rounded effect, which now you can see comes in nicely and gives us a different length. Obviously if it's blow dried straight it'd be longer, and if it was blow dried straight and smooth it would then come in and be a lot more smoother. You'll find obviously then we went for an even more softer look with a razor blade to take out a middle panel all the way through. Had I not took all that out of there, it'd be a lot more bigger, but we made it more leaner, which then allowed us to put more curl into it. So then we went through texturising through the sections, pulling them out, and then we used a razor blade in there obviously to give us that effect, which was the main part. Okay, around this way. We'll go sorry, you can face the camera, it's fine now because we're on the main part. So then we went through the products we used. The first cutting lotion, which was Fat Muck Blowout Mousse. then went in to use some Voimazine spray. Not that we really needed to use it, but we used it to control the hair. We then used the 20-in-1 Miracle treatment. We then went in to use the argan oil, which you see as part of, so that's the, shine spray, that's the last one. It's this one. We used that, they all look the same. Argan oil treatment, which we then put into the hair. We then used the hair lacquer, which of course also helped with the finish, the crescendo on the top. And then the final product we used was part of the Muck Spa range, the argan oil spray shine. I'm sure you'll agree that Joanne's hair looks fantastic, and I'm sure that she'll be happy with it when she sees the back. But again, you're able to see a change with the colour and a change with the curl. Thank you very much, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. It's absolutely fantastic. You've been a brilliant model tonight. You can stay with me now while I do this. All right. Thanks very much to our sponsors. Muck Hair Care, again, you see in harmony the stick, how it's worked today, the styling stick in harmony with the products, and again it's all about the cutting. Think about how you stand, the way your body position is. You've seen now for nearly 2 hours how it all works and how it all comes together. Again, if you'd like me to teach your team in your salon, contact me on Scott Bailey Cutting Education on Facebook, or alternatively if you'd like to come here to the salon, contact us at www.scottbailey.com. We'll be only too pleased to answer any questions that you may have. Give a little wave to my dad there. There is Rachel Hardy. Nice to see you with us, Rachel. Always a pleasure. She just said it looks very beautiful.
Thank you.
I'll just say thank you to her. What we're going to do now is we're going to disappear and take the pictures, but certainly on behalf of Joanne and myself and my dad, it's been a pleasure to entertain you tonight. Remember, we'll be back in 2 weeks because I've got to have a meeting with Muck next week, so hopefully it'll be all good. Brad, I'll be with you soon, talking to you, as with the rest of the Muck team. But thanks again, national and international viewers, and everybody that's made it what it is, because it's been great. 40 people, you've been model number 40. On behalf of John and me, take care, good night, God bless. Take care.
Bye.
Woo! Bye, take care.